Good afternoon, dear viewers. I'm right now at Dongping County of Shandong province. I'm at the Dongping Yellow River beach, and it's the first county that borders the estuary of Yellow River. And this is the peak season of the migration of birds. And behind me, you can see a large flock of swines. They're gathering at the beach. And let me tell you, we have thousands of them, and they live as a group. But there are big groups as well as small ones. And we also have very small groups with just dozens of swans. So they belong to different species, but they gather at one place, and they're very sensitive to the external environment. We have been staying here for a few days, and we found out that if we are within a distance of 300 to 500 meters, and then they will be alerted, and they will send out a sound, and then they will fly away from us. So we tried very hard to capture their movements and activities, but from our footage, you can see that they are truly enjoying their life here. In order to protect those cranes and swines, and we have taken numerous measures here from the local government. Each year during the migration season, there are patrol teams to monitor their activities. We have one patroller, Mr. Feng, who is the director of Migration Birds Protection Center and Forestry Technology Service Center of Hezi City. So what are you doing here? So I'm recording the climate today, the birds and species that I patrol and observe today. So let me take a closer look. So we have identified 600 cranes. So we have 6,000 cranes. Some are identified in the morning and some in the afternoon, and altogether we have identified 3 different groups and flocks of birds. And in total, they have a number that is larger than 10,000. So in Dongping Yellow River Beach, how many migratory birds we have? It's roughly 80 to 90,000. Now the weather is getting cold, and can we expect more birds? Well, normally, the migration season starts from mid-October, so that is why they come here to overwinter and to have a stopover. The number is quite significant, but starting from next week, in about 10 days, the weather is going to become cooler, and we can expect more than 100,000 such birds. And when we just came, those swines behind me, they were very quiet. But right now, they're sending out this sound. And why is that? Well, in the day, they hunt for food, they play around, and this is their haven, and this is their paradise. So they engage in all sorts of activities, and they play, frolic on the ground, or they swim in a river, or they fly. And when they are taking a rest, and they have different responsibilities within their group, and there is a clear division of responsibilities, and some are guardians and some are watchdogs, and if they identify some hazard, then they will send out a sound, and then the whole flock of birds will take off, and they will hover over the ground, and if the hazard is removed, then they will land on the ground. So in front of us, we have such a big flock of birds, and some are resting, but there are always some who take up the responsibility as a watchdog, and they will watch out and look around. And so how close can we get to those birds? Normally it's 500 meters, and if you get within 500 meters to those birds, and then they will be alerted, and they will maybe fly. And if you are interfering with their peace and tranquility, and they will immediately take off from the ground. So what is attracting those birds to this place? Well, we have a geological advantage because this is such a large area with more than 170,000 mu of river beach, and we have all the trenches and rivers, and this is truly a place with a lot of water resources. The most appealing place, take a look at the wheat that is in green color. So this is their food for migration, and they like to eat the wheat, and they eat the wheat bud and the leaves. Does that mean that they will pose some threat to our green field? Well, this is the season when the winter wheat is truly growing very slowly, and by next spring, and they will start to grow very quickly. Starting from next spring, they will have another big round of growth. So truly, their impact is quite minimal. So this is the winter season, and wheat is truly slowing down its pace of growth, and this is simply to say that the birds will not pose any significant threat to the wheat, because the production and the yield of the wheat is truly dependent on the growth next spring. Because right now the temperature is still very relatively high, and we're not so concerned about those birds. And if you step on the field, you wouldn't do any harm to the field. And take a look at this bud, and it has been scraped, eaten by the birds, but it doesn't matter. It's not the roots. And this is the faces of this one, and take a look at the color. And when we are patrolling, we also take note of the faces and also the feather scattered on the ground. What are its shapes? What are the color of the faces? And because with the color of the faces, we can tell the status of health of the birds. Although we cannot get too close to those birds, but we can identify their health state through those traces. And with these traces, we can understand their health and their conditions. So what is their daily routine like? Well, normally at the middle of the day or in the evening, and they eat food, and this is their meal time. So this is like their cafeteria, and they truly rely on this very large field. So this is their stable food, and because they are here, they have abundant resources of food. It's just like human beings, and when we move to a place, we have to have something to eat, and we need to be well fed, and we also need to have a place to live. And this Yellow River Beach is quite different from those protection reserves and those no man's area. And this is truly an open area that is surrounded by villages that's inhabited by people. So this is a ecosystem where we have human beings and we also have birds. And so how do we protect those wildlife? Well, the forestry department, the public security bureau, as well as market supervision bureau, we form a joint patrol team, and that is consists of 20 people at this peak season between November and next March, and we have 24/7 patrols. And also those villagers, they are heavily engaged, and we try to create a fine condition for those birds. And right now we have a very good awareness of ecological preservation, so we are very friendly to those birds. As we talk now, and we You can see that those birds in front of us, they are taking off, and they sending out this great sound, and they are flying in different flocks, and some are flying to the south, some are flying to the north, and this is truly like what we learned from primary school textbooks, and they are flying in this V shape. And why do they change their shapes? And sometimes they are in a straight line, sometimes in a V shape. So when they are in a V shape, you have a leader, which is flying in the up front, and he is flying truly fast. And when they are flying in a straight line, it tells you that they are very relaxed and they're just flying around. So when they are on a move, or when they have a destination, they will fly in this V shape, because that gives them the best aerodynamics. So what is the maximum flight speed? It's between 70 and 90 kilometers per hour. Well, that's even faster than we drive. And when they are flying in this straight line, it means that they are very relaxed. They're not in pursuit of speed. All right, now we know the different shapes of flight, the different formations, and why they fly in different formations. So you mentioned that you are patrolling this area, and before coming here, I found out that there are surveillance cameras. Yes, we have set up some survey stations. We have already built some, but this year in Dongying, we have invested more than 1 million yuan to build more than 15 monitoring stations. Through these stations, we are able to monitor the state of those migratory birds through surveillance cameras. So we can step up our efforts in surveillance and monitoring. So this is due to the fact that more and more migratory birds are having a stopover in this place, and we have to closely study their behaviors so that we can roll out better protective measures. So we have 24/7 patrols. So this is mainly taking place at this time of the year. Yes, and this is mainly taking place between November and March. So we take record of their behaviors. But what do you do when you encounter some injured birds? Well, let me tell you that the villagers living nearby, they are well educated about the importance of protecting the mother nature. And when they identify an injured bird, they will dial a hotline, and then the rescue center will dispatch some professionals, and they will maybe conduct a surgery. All right, thank you very much. And we learned that because of those protective measures, those migratory birds, their species are on the rise, and their population is also expanding. Truly, they are getting along very well with the villagers living nearby, and this is a sign of harmony. Good afternoon, dear viewers. So we are now standing together with Chairman Xu from the Dongping Birds Association. So we are now sailing to an island at the center of the lake. And the island is only accessible by boat. So this is early winter, and we are now on Dongping Lake, and we can feel the chilly weather, but it's not that cold. And you can see that on both banks of the river, we have dry weed and grass, but truly this is a spectacular scene at this time of the year. And this is also the peak season of migration, and you can see the weed and also the forest, and also those trees, and those are the places occupied by birds. So, Chairman Chen, how old are you this year? I'm 71. So how long have you been observing those birds, and what impressed you the most? So I think interaction is very important, and since last year, Dongping Lake has an island that attracted a great flock of birds. And so we're going to play that clip, and we found an injured bird. And when we spotted that bird, it was losing its breath. But it didn't have any injuries, and I think it was just in that state because of hunger. So we fed the bird, we fed him some nutritious food, and it didn't take long before the bird recovered to full health. And each and every year we rescue a dozen of such birds. So what are the other birds that you rescue? In Dongping Lake, we are dealing with a lot of geese in the forest. We're talking about some smaller birds, some swallows, some smaller birds, put simply. So you have been observing the birds in Dongping Lake, and you have a very good knowledge of birds. And what birds are the most impressive? In 2018, when we first identified a special bird, and we found out that it's quite unique, and we got in contact with some of the authorities, and we found out that that's one very important bird. So Mr. Chen was actually referring to a bird under level 1 protection of the country, and we have now embarked on the land, and now let's take a closer look. So in 300 meters in front of us, we have a small forest, and you can see that we have a lot of black dots at top of the aspen tree. And what are those birds? So tell us what birds you're looking at. So we are now staring at some cormorants, and it's under grade 2 protection as an important species. In October, it should fly from Inner Mongolia to Dongping Lake, and in March, it will return to where it came from. And take a look at this footage, and you're looking at exactly what we are looking at right now, and why we are talking about those cormorants, because they're just like soldiers guarding a vast land. So why do they stand on those branches? Because they want to have their leather dried, and so This will make it easier for them to fly. And you can see that this is truly a very evocative scene, and we found out that some of the branches of the tree has become white. Why is that? Well, the white color on those branches are the faces of those cormorants, and you can see that those birds, they are very flexible and very agile, and when they identify a bird, and they will immediately rush into the river, and you can see that within 4 to 5 seconds, and they will finish the preying activity and then fly to the branches, and you can see that they are eating those birds, and they are very proud of their prey. So why Dongping Lake is so attractive to those cormorants? Because we have a wide variety of food and a lot of fishes in the river. And you can see those birds, they are very flexible and agile. And those fish, they are swimming very slowly, so it makes it easier for those cormorants to prey. So in Dongping Lake, to our knowledge, we have more than 20 different species of fishes and shrimps. So that is why we have attracted such a large population of cormorants. And aside from cormorants, we have other types of birds. And you talked about this duck, which is under level 1 national protection. And through our footages, you can see this is a place with a large area of weed. So do those migratory birds love the weed? Well, they can easily hide themselves from their predators in this weed. So it's very safe for those smaller migratory birds. And we're going to play a clip filmed by you and your colleague, and this is a special type of duck. And the male one has this light green color on its head, and to our knowledge, we have right now 500 such ducks all over the country, and this is truly a very immersive scene, and it seems that we are part of the flocks, and it's very hard to catch such a footage because they are very sensitive, and if you don't have a good camera, you wouldn't be able to capture this scene. So when they are floating on the river and they try to polish their leather and feather, so this is adding a layer of protection. So because they can add a grease layer to their feather, and truly they are living they're living here with great happiness, and they flap their wings and they swim in a river, and this is truly a very cozy life for those wild birds. And you can see that I'm holding a brochure for those migratory birds in Dongping Lake, and you can see that the local government has planted some weed, and this is the page accommodation, and this is the weed that they have here. And this one was taken in summer. So in winter, during the migration season, and they can hide themselves from their predators. And this is the page on food, and we have lotus. We have all types of plants here, and this is even favored by human beings, and not to mention those birds. So this is a little brochure that tells us the great efforts that we put into protecting those wildlife, and we also distribute this brochure to all the visitors so that the public gets educated on the importance of protecting the wildlife. If you ask me my overall observation here in Dongping Lake, well, I believe all the different species under heaven are enjoying themselves and their freedom. It's not just the caravans, but also the duck. And through our footage, let's take another look at the Dongping Lake. And we have the mountain in the distance, we have the lake in front of us, and we also have the camarans and the ducks. All those species, they are truly living in freedom, and this is a scene of vibrance and vitality, and we want to show you what is here that we are enjoying. Good afternoon, dear viewers of CMG. My name is Liu Yingchao, a journalist from CMG, and right now I'm at a river delta of Shandong and also a national nature reserve. So this is truly a great season to be here at this part of the country. We have the weed, we have the lake, and also river beaches. And most important of all, we have flocks of migratory birds. Dongying is a place of stopover for those birds, and this is the migration season. We have Mr. Zhu Shuyu, a senior engineer of the National Nature Reserve, and so he will tell us more about this place. So tell us when the migration season started. So this is right now the season of migration for those large birds. And we have all the cranes, the geese, and also the ducks. And starting from mid-October, they have embarked on a journey of migration. And this will go on until late December. How many birds are you expecting here? So in mid-October, we have the peak season of migration according to our monitoring over the past few days, and we have identified more than 170 bird species, totaling more than 1 million birds. So this is truly amazing, and we know that this nature reserve is regarded as the international airport of birds. And how did you get this title? Well, international airports for birds, and this is a very good nickname, and we know that the migration of birds respects no borders, and they have 3 different migration routes, and Dongying is truly at the place that is in between the middle line and the east line, and this is a very important place with a huge number of migratory birds. We have become a very important breeding place and overwintering place. So in this sense, we are truly an international airport. Yes, they fly in between different countries, but many birds, they have selected this place for a layover. So what is the attraction of this place? So we have good ecological environment, a large wetland. We also have bounty food, and this is a diverse environment that provides rich food to those birds. And also China follows a strict set of measures for protection in its national nature reserve. This is a safe place. They get to enjoy very wide variety of foods, and it's also super secure. So standing at this place, I can feel this tranquility from all around me, and I can hear the sound of the birds. And those white birds, and they are flapping their wings. And what are those? So these are geese, and we have mainly 3 different types of geese in China. Many photographers, if they are lucky enough, and they can have 3 different geese in one photo. We have large ones as well as small ones, and you can distinguish them by the shape of their beak. And some of them have a different color. And the smaller geese, sometimes they are half the size of the big ones. And so we have all types of geese in this place. And that is amazing. And that is why we have a lot of lucky photographers of birds in this place. So this is quite rare. And those bird photographers, when they get together, and they are so proud of their luck here. And we can also see some flocks of birds from the weed. And what is that? And we have seen this scene for quite a few times here. So what is this? So these are mainly ducks and swans. Mostly they are ducks, and they have been living here for half a month, and they will leave this place maybe at the end of next month. This is another wave of birds, and take a look at this, and it's magnificent. So they like to gather as one big group, and when they take off, and they will take off in groups. They are not aggressive, and they are at the lower bottom of the food chain, and they are not aggressive or ferocious, and they know that solidarity brings about strength, and so that's why they stick together as one group to survive. So this is also for the sake of safety and security, and they have to cling together as one large group. This way they can scare off their predators, and they move together, they prey together, and they escape their predators together. So this is truly a big wave of birds. And how many birds are we expecting here? I think it's at least 150,000, and this is magnificent because previously it's just 20 to 30,000 birds. Because of the improvement in eco-environment, and we are witnessing such vast number of birds. And to my knowledge, this is not seen in any other place in the world. Well, now let's talk about what is right in front of us. We have some footprints of the birds. They look like they're in a triangular shape. And what is this bird? Well, they are most likely the traces of cranes. Some of the cranes, they have 3 toes, and some have 4 toes. I think these are the traces of cranes and gulls. In China, we have 9 different types of cranes. In China, we have two different Plato cranes who are not choosing this place as the stopover for migration. We have white crane, red-crowned crane, and this is grade 1 protected animal. And then we also have gray cranes. So we have out of the 9 types of cranes, 7 of them in this place. So you talked about this red-crowned crane, and this is very gracious. Is that because they have this red dots at the head? Yeah, this is a bird that is traditionally favored by the intellectuals of China, and they are well reflected in Chinese paintings, and we believe they are heavenly birds that look very elegant and gracious. And they can live up to 30 years, and so that's why they also represent longevity. And so we tend to combine the image of crane and the pines together because they both represent longevity. Over the past 2 days, and we found out that they have this silver glowing color on their body. And what is that? Well, this is the spotted crane, and they have white head and tail, but their body is covered by this glowing color in between white and silver and black. And this is such a great place. Look, it has attracted such a vast number of cranes. And talking about this estuary delta, we have to talk about the Oriental white crane. So this is also a migratory bird, and starting from the year 2000, we found out that they have been settling down here in winter. So when they first came here, they were not used to this place because they tried to find those tall bushes. Yes, because we don't have those tall bushes or trees. In Russia, they have those very tall trees. So after we learned this situation, we started to build artificial bird's nest in 2008. So I led a team in designing such artificial nest. And so this is how large the nest is. You need to make sure that the nest is large enough. I designed 2 diameters. It's 60 centimeters in diameter, and we're using stainless steel so it doesn't rot. So in 2008, we built 11 such posts, and to this day, we have 133 such posts, and 70 to 80% of those posts are well utilized by those cranes. So this is an artificial bird's nest, and so this is just providing them the basis and foundation, and they will have to collect the branches from all over the place and build their own homes. So we have prepared some branches for them nearby, and they can collect them and they put them in different structures. They put them on top of each other, and it's very solid and endurable. So this is an attestament to the great care and efforts that we have put into protecting those birds, and we respect their animal instincts and we take care of them, but we don't spoil them. Yes, we respect the nature in terms of restoration of wetland and preservation of the ecosystem. So we follow the pattern and law of nature, and we try to provide a cozy and pleasant living environment that is similar to the one that nature offers. Well, thank you very much. And this is truly an amazing place, and this is the paradise of migratory birds, and they are well fed here, and they like to have a stopover here and then overwinter in this place. And we have a professor who has a deep insight and knowledge about bird protection, and over the years he has been.
So there are millions of birds that migrate between Australia and China and Russia and back again every year, passing through 20 countries around Asia. And also many of the important remaining sites have been declared as World Heritage Areas by the Chinese government. And I think that's helped to slow down the declines of these migrating birds. This is a really big step within our flyway.
In July this year, the Bohai Sea migration paradise has become one first phase of these protective measures, because they are located right on the migration journey, and this is attracting the attention of Richard, and he calls for joint efforts.
So I think China has showed actually quite strong leadership, and I think other countries are following and do need to follow. Because the birds move across country borders, that means we need to collaborate internationally to do the right actions in protecting these birds.